Welcome back to TYTSports. It is now time for Jerks of the Week. Steve-O joins me. We did our Turks. We're going to talk about our Jerks, so you should click onto our Turks before our Jerks. Just follow that. Steve, I'm going to go to you first because I don't want to start, but your Jerk of the Week this week.
My Jerk of the Week this week are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's because this is the second time this season when they were destroyed in the first quarter, and that's unacceptable and just flat out unprofessional. You cannot, as an NFL team, just lose in the first 10 minutes of the game and just have no chance of recovery. It is an embarrassment to themselves, to the profession, to the league. What is wrong with them? I mean, are they simply incapable of playing at this level? Is it the talent? Is it the coaching? Is it the discipline? What the hell is going on? That is an embarrassment. I mean, they got destroyed. I mean, it was...
Yeah, they were down 35-0. If it wasn't 35-0, it was 28-0, but I think it was 35-0 at one point. Their defense is decimated by injuries. That doesn't excuse this because, in the next man up NFL, you're supposed to be able to cover some of those injuries.
Every time I looked up, Joe Flacco was throwing another touchdown.
Right.
Joe Flacco isn't a man known to throw a lot of touchdowns, but he lit them up. He had 4 touchdowns in the first quarter. Yeah. It was unbelievable.
Well, there's clearly something that the people are seeing, the teams are seeing, that is a vulnerability of Tampa Bay that Tampa Bay hasn't been able to fix, and that's in the passing game, and that's in that mid-range passing game too. Lovie Smith's a good coach, and it is a rebuilding system. Quarterback, I think they should have gone with Mike Glennon from the beginning. I think he's the better of those two quarterbacks, but they went out and spent money on Josh McCown. I mean, there's sort of things that you can't undo. They came out better in the second half. It was a closer game the rest of the way, but at that point it didn't matter. I mean, they're running the ball.
The team 35 points.
Yeah, of course. But they actually looked more together.
And it was pathetic. At the end of the half, they missed a field goal that was very, very makeable. I think in the 38-yarder or something, maybe. And then the second half, the Ravens were on cruise control, and they still couldn't really muster anything to the very end. It's an embarrassment, and I feel sorry for them more than. Well, I feel sorry for them. I'm also disdainful and contemptuous of them because it's just sickening. It's just not a product that you want to see at a professional level.
Right. And they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. The NFL is a really strange place. My Jerk of the Week, kind of like giving the Oscar to Meryl Streep, kind of like giving the nomination to Franklin Roosevelt. I'm giving the Jerk of the Week to Dan Snyder, not because he is an odious guy who runs an inefficient team and runs it poorly, but because he invited someone from the Navajo Nation to sit with him, which on first glance you'd say, hey, that's a pretty good idea. The man in the middle there, the president of Navajo Nation, Ben Shelly. Turns out Ben Shelly is the lame duck president of the Navajo Nation. He came in 7th in the most recent election, so he will be giving up his spot shortly. He came in 7th, accepted this invitation from Dan Snyder, but he was also corrupt. He actually was found to have committed fraud, bilked money out of a slush fund to help his family members. He is the worst example of trying to get support for your team name that you can muster. Dan Snyder is the lowest of the low. He said, I found a man of Native American Indian descent, a Navajo. He will sit with me. Well, it's sort of like saying that you're going to go, to sit down and, I found someone in finance. Bernie Madoff is going to sit next to me at the game. This is not a way to endear people to your cause. It's time for him to give up.
It's like Sean Hannity inviting Herman Cain to sit with him and say, "See, I love black people."
Well, yeah. To a degree, it's like that. It's almost like inviting Dan Quayle to sit with you and say, "I love black people." But but Ben Shelly here is going to be done with the Navajos. Don't even want him, and it's a minstrel show that goes on at these games. These Redskin fans show up with their faces painted red and saying that they're not bothered by the name. I mean, it's absurd. Dan Snyder oversees it, and with the signature of a pen, with the agreement with the league, not only could he make a ton of money on new merchandising and a new name, he could alleviate a lot of the problems. But I guess the biggest problem for him is the fact that his football team is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I actually don't quite understand or feel this need to change the name, but I think he should change the name, mainly because so many people don't like it and he can make money from it. I don't understand why he won't just change it. I think at this point, he just doesn't want to be told what to do. It's an ego-driven thing, and he says, it's my team. I can name it whatever I want, including names that offend other people. To clarify my personal position on it, I'm not so much bothered by bad names. I mean, I'm much more bothered by bad actions. But at the same time, I feel like if you can be sensitive towards the needs of others and with little effort change things and it doesn't even hurt you, why wouldn't you just do it?
Yeah.
Like, what's the big deal? Just do it.
Yeah, I did a story for this other network where I work, and it was about team names. I went down to Texas. There's a team called the Cotton Pickers there. And the Cotton Pickers is interesting because I went down there thinking, Jesus, they're called the Cotton Pickers, right? This is terrible. But the Cotton Pickers, cotton picking was an industry there. And it's a mostly Hispanic part of the country. And so many of these, grandchildren who are going to these schools in Texas, their grandparents were cotton pickers, and it was considered a decent and honorable business. They worked hard, they made good money. So it was, we think of cotton picking in most of America as slavery, which it was, of course. But then it became an industry, so people were paid to pick cotton. So there is a sensitivity issue, but at this point with Dan Snyder, I mean, come on. It's Columbus Day, right? He's probably the only guy in America who loves Columbus Day because it honors the marauding discoverer who came and killed all the Native Americans. Dan Snyder, you, my friend, are my jerk of the week.